Visionary Spanish architect Antoni Gaudí was hit by a tram along the Gran Via de las Corts Catalanes in Barcelona. 3 days later, on June 10, 1926, at the age of 73, Gaudí died before finishing his life's work, La Sagrada Familia. Yet 100 years later, on the anniversary of Gaudí's death, Pope Leo XIV arrived in Barcelona to bless the newest addition to one of the longest-running construction projects in history. So, why is La Sagrada Familia considered an engineering masterwork regardless of one's faith? Hello Circuiteers! This week we're exploring one of the world's most extraordinary engineering projects, Barcelona's La Sagrada Família, a structure so ambitious that nearly a century after its creator's death, engineers are still working to complete it. Construction on La Sagrada Família began in 1882, and it became the ultimate expression of architect Antoni Gaudí's engineering philosophy. Gaudí studied how trees distribute weight through their trunks and branches, then applied those same principles to architecture. Instead of relying on traditional columns and buttresses, Gaudí experimented with angled supports and geometric forms. Inside, stone columns branch outward like trees. Above them, geometric vaults distribute weight throughout the structure while filling the interior with natural light. La Sagrada Familia contains almost no right angles and very few straight lines. The result is a structure that feels organic yet is rooted in sophisticated engineering. Unfortunately, on the day Gaudí was hit by the tram, that sophistication wasn't reflected in his appearance. Dressed in old clothes with long hair and a scraggly beard, people mistook Gaudí for a homeless man. Many passed by without realizing who he was. When Gaudí died 100 years ago, only a small portion of La Sagrada Familia had been completed. But his vision was far from finished. Much of what we see today was built long after Gaudí's death, an absence that left future engineers and architects the enormous challenge of completing a masterpiece without the guidance of its creator. Nearly a century after Antoni Gaudí's death, working chief architect Jordi Fauli, architect Mauricio Cortez, and his team of engineers continue bringing Gaudí's vision to life. One of their most significant achievements is the monumental cross that now crowns the Tower of Jesus Christ. Designed from Gaudí's original concepts, the cross stands roughly 5 stories tall and weighs nearly 100 tons. Constructed from stainless steel, white ceramic cladding, and stained glass produced in Catalonia, it represents the culmination of years of engineering and craftsmanship. With its installation, La Sagrada Familia reached its final structural height of 566 feet, making it the tallest church in the world. And on the 100th anniversary of Gaudí's death, Pope Leo XIV blessed the newly completed tower, marking another milestone in one of the longest-running construction projects in history. But while the ceremony made headlines, the engineering achievement is what truly stands out, because even now, La Sagrada Familia remains unfinished. The Tower of Jesus Christ may be complete, but Gaudí's vision extends far beyond the skyline. In fact, some of the most ambitious engineering challenges are still ahead. Gaudí designed La Sagrada Familia around 3 monumental facades: the Nativity, the Passion, and the Glory, in order to tell that story to visitors. Gaudí lived long enough to see only part of the Nativity facade completed, and the Passion facade was completed decades later in 1976. Today, the greatest remaining engineering challenge is the Glory facade. Located on the church's southern face, it is intended to become the basilica's main entrance and the most ambitious of the 3 facades. Its monumental sculptural elements, 7 bronze doors, and 4 apostle towers remain under construction. Engineers must also solve a complex urban planning challenge involving a proposed grand staircase that could affect thousands of nearby residents. Current estimates place completion of the Glory facade in the mid-2030s. For Chief Architect Jordi Fauli, the completion of the Tower of Jesus Christ represents not the end of the project, but the beginning of its final phase. So, why is La Sagrada Familia considered an engineering masterwork regardless of one's faith? La Sagrada Familia is considered a masterwork not because of religion, but because of engineering. Its nature-inspired structural systems, groundbreaking geometry, and century-spanning construction push the limits of what architects and engineers believed possible. La Sagrada Familia proves that great engineering can transcend culture, language, and even belief. Because regardless of one's own faith, the pursuit to create the extraordinary is something that everyone most definitely can understand. And if you enjoyed this week's episode of The Circuit News, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click those bell notifications for more incredible engineering. See you next week. And a special thank you to the Ming Hsieh Institute at USC Viterbi for making this episode possible.